Hey guys, welcome back to Broken Bones Barbecue. On this episode, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to select and trim up a brisket. That's right, tomorrow's Easter, and there's no better way to celebrate the resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ than doing a good old-fashioned brisket. Hey guys, so welcome back to Broken Bones. So, like I said, we're going to be selecting our brisket today. So how do you select a brisket when you go to a grocery store? A lot of times people make a mistake. They want to grab the biggest brisket, or they're intimidated, so they grab a small brisket. And so what I like to do is I like to keep my briskets anywhere from 10 pounds to 14 pounds. That gives you a good yield of meat. About a 13-pound brisket, 10, 11, 12, 13-pound brisket, you can feed anywhere from 15 to 25 people with a brisket this size. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and see how you select it. So what you want to do is you want to look at the marbling. So the marbling is this fat that is inside of this brisket. So if you turn the brisket this way, you're able to see all that fat in there. And so this is a good brisket. You want a good thick flat. You don't want it to be super thin because it's going to burn up and it's not going to render out good food. So you want a good sized brisket. Like I said, this is a 10 pounder. And also when you go to select the brisket, you want to pick it up and you want to be able to fold it like that, because if it's not going to fold, it's going to be tough. So this is going to be a really tender brisket. You see that it almost completely touches there. It touches. And so that's the way you choose a brisket. So you pick it up at the grocery store, you kind of shake it, and if it's real tight, you don't want to buy it because then it's not going to have any juices in there. It's going to come out dry and it's going to come out tough. So get you a good brisket with a good thick point and a good thick flat. So choosing a brisket, this is the flat and this is the point. It's two muscles put together into one, the flat and the point. A lot of times people make their burn ends out of this and they just slice it. But throughout the brisket, it's really good, super tender and super juicy if you cook it right. So let's go ahead and get started with the trimming process now that we've selected our brisket. Okay, so want to make sure to always use gloves if you're going to be cooking for more than just your family. And there we go. And so our gloves are on. When I do caterings, of course, we always use gloves. Or cooking for a number of people. And so you want to keep things sanitary, you want to keep things safe. You don't want to be doing a lot of cross-contamination. So our gloves are on. Out of the way, we always want to have a paper towel. A couple paper towels handy. And so let's get our brisket opened up. So you want to open up the package with a good sharp knife. You always want to make sure you have a good sharp knife. And so the dogs are barking at the FedEx truck. There you go. So our brisket's out of the package. This is why you want some napkins laying around, because you want to soak up all that extra juice off of this brisket. Okay, so let's talk about the brisket for a minute. Like I said, it's two muscles joined at one. The brisket, of course, is cow. And so this is the backside. This is where you have all your fat. And this is a lot of meat. Here's the decal. Okay, so it's two muscles. If you can see it right here, this is where your flat and your point meet. And so underneath there's a layer of fat in there. And that helps protect it while you're cooking it. And so what we want to do first is we want to go ahead and begin trimming it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this down a little bit, because here you see a lot of silver skin and a lot of fat. Now everybody's different. Everybody has different ways of doing their brisket. I like to take as much of this silver skin off as possible. The reason why I like to do that is because if you don't, it's going to give you a tough bite. And if you're cooking in a competition, that wants to be removed. So this is a USDA Angus choice brisket. Your select, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're gonna take off this decal fat right here. This is a big piece of fat that really has no purpose. It's not gonna render down because it's just so thick. So that's the first thing that we want to remove. And so you need to get a very sharp knife. This is hard fat. and it's not good eating. Some people cut it off at the very end, but I like to take it off because you get your smoke underneath there, and now you can tell a little bit more where the two meats come together, the two muscles. So the flat and the point, and then there's that layer of fat that's right underneath there. And so we're gonna trim it down. So when you trim, you want to pick it up and you just want to cut it off like that. You don't want to be going in there and poking it and digging up. So you just pick it up, put your hand underneath it, and slide it down like that. Take off that silver skin. And so you just want to continue until most of that silver skin comes off. You can leave it on there, but I don't like to. I like to take most of it off, like I said, to get a better bite, especially if you're going to do a competition style brisket. And just make sure that you're picking up that brisket when you're going. It makes it easier, and you're not just gouging at it and poking at it. It gives it all an even cut, an even slice. So you have more right here. Get you a good chunk at a time. See, you want to pick it up and just take your knife and run it underneath there like that. Hopefully the camera's picking it up, what I'm doing, how I'm trimming it. So that is how you trim the meat side of the brisket. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna continue to take that off, but I'm gonna flip this over and show you how to trim up the fat part, and then I'm gonna come back and clean it up. So once we're done, I'll show you what it looks like before I start to season it. And so just for the sake of time. And so you have a little bit right there. Take it down to make it even. I could be doing this all day long. Sometimes I'm a little too over perfectionist, and so you know what, let's just go ahead and clean it all up while we have it here. If not, I won't come back to it. I'll forget, and then I won't do it. And you want to keep it the way the grains are running too, most of the time. Your grains of the meat, this is what how your meat grains run. And so this is running like that. So you always want to kind of continue to take it off the same way that your grains run in your meat. And it's gonna take you some practice and some time, but I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over because I could be here all day. We're almost done anyways on that side. So on the back side, what you want to do here is, this is your point and this is your flat. Your flat, you want to leave pretty much all the fat, because your flat, the fat in the flat is gonna help it render down. But what you want to do is you want to clean up the point, because in the point there's enough marbling in there, and you don't have to worry too much about it burning too much. And you kind of want to square up your meat as well, because if this is hanging over, it's gonna burn. So you just want to keep it in a good shape. You only want to cut it until you could start to see the meat on that point. Because you want to take this fat off, because in here there's plenty of fat you can see in there. It's a good piece of meat that has plenty of fat in your point. So what you want to do is take off this fat so you could get your seasoning to penetrate in there in the smoke as well. Now you could save that fat and you can make sausage out of it, or brisket burgers, put it in beans. It doesn't really matter what you do with it. I give it to my dog sometimes. I use it to start a fire sometimes. And so we're getting into the flat now, as far as trimming up the flat. Just take off a little bit more of this fat right there, a little bit here. Okay, and then this little bit right here has to come off. And I'm going to show you right here. See, this is pretty much what you want to take your brisket down to on the point. So there's a little bit more right here. We're going to just take off, even it out right here on the point. You always want to make sure you do this when your brisket is cold, because it makes it easier to control and to trim. If the brisket's hot or room temperature, your fat is going to be harder to trim, because with heat, fat melts and it makes it slippery. And so you just want to clean it up here. What I talked about in a aerodynamic brisket here, this is gonna, it's not gonna render off, it's gonna burn up. Got this piece right here. I don't want to take that off because it's just hanging over. Maybe take off that right there. You still have the flat protected a little bit on top by the point. There you go. That's some tissue right there. What you want to do now, see that little piece right there kind of hanging over? Let's turn it back over on its side here, like that. Just take your knife, slice that down, and just make a little round it off a little bit. For your dynamic purposes, take it like that. You want the smoke to cover it. So now that I have it back over, I'm gonna go ahead and just finish this off real quick. Get it started right there. Take off a little bit of this fat here. Okay, so our brisket's been trimmed up. Sometimes you'll see this gray stuff right there. That's because of the saw blade at the butcher plant. Just take a knife, run it down right there, take it off. Good clean piece of meat. There you go. All right, so let's talk about what we did real quick. So we went ahead and we removed the silver skin and the fat, and we cut off the fat in the back off of the point because it already has a lot. We could cut this right here if we wanted to, right there. Take that out. And if you can't get it, leave it alone. Don't be poking at it. There's enough fat in there to keep the brisket moist. Some people, they start out trimming a 14-pound brisket and they cut off too much and they only end up smoking like a 9-pound brisket because they're obsessed with trimming. And so this is going to be a really good trim, nice simple trim. You want to make sure that you round it off. You round it off so the smoke will go around, and your point, and your flat. Point, flat. Okay guys, so that's how you select and trim a brisket. So what we're gonna do, I have 2 more briskets that I need to get trimmed up, and so we're gonna go ahead and take a break, and when I get ready to see